The year is 1863. For 2 long years, the American Civil War has raged, tearing the nation apart. Brother fights brother, father against son, the issue slavery and the question of states' rights versus federal authority. The Confederacy, fighting for independence and the preservation of its way of life, has won stunning victories in the East. The Union, determined to preserve the nation, struggles to find its footing. In the summer of 1863, the war reaches a turning point. Confederate General Robert E. Lee, emboldened by recent successes, leads his Army of Northern Virginia into Pennsylvania. His goal to strike a decisive blow against the North and force an end to the war. Standing in his way is the Union Army of the Potomac, now under the command of General George Meade. The two armies, each a microcosm of the divided nation, are on a collision course. Their meeting place, the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Lee's invasion of Pennsylvania is a bold gamble. He seeks to seize the initiative, to carry the war to the north and break its will to fight. His army, though outnumbered, is confident, hardened by victory. They march north, their spirits high, their destination unknown. Meade, newly appointed to command, faces a daunting task. He must rally his army, still reeling from recent defeats, and intercept Lee's advance. The fate of the Union, it seems, rests on his shoulders. As Lee's army marches north, a sense of dread grips the North. Newspapers trumpet the Confederate advance, fueling fears of an invasion. In Washington, President Lincoln anxiously awaits news from the front. The two armies, like thunderheads on a summer day, draw closer. Their scouts clash in a series of skirmishes, each probing for weakness, each seeking an advantage. And then, on the morning of July 1, 1863, they collide. The place Gettysburg. The battle begins almost by accident. Confederate troops searching for shoes in Gettysburg encounter Union cavalry. A firefight erupts, quickly escalating into a full-blown battle. The Confederates, with their fierce fighting spirit, initially push back the Union forces. But the Union soldiers, though outnumbered, fight with tenacity. They know the stakes, the importance of holding their ground. As the day wears on, reinforcements pour into Gettysburg from both sides. The once peaceful fields surrounding the town transform into a scene of unimaginable carnage. Smoke fills the air, the stench of gunpowder hangs heavy. By day's end, the Confederates have driven the Union forces through the streets of Gettysburg, forcing them to retreat to a strong defensive position on Cemetery Hill and Cemetery Ridge south of town. The first day belongs to the South, but the battle is far from over. Day 2 dawns hot and humid. The armies stir, licking their wounds, preparing for another round of bloodshed. Lee, sensing an opportunity, plans a daring attack. He will send his troops crashing against the Union flanks, seeking to crush the enemy army. The Union forces, commanded by the unflappable General Winfield Scott Hancock on the left, and the steadfast General Oliver Otis Howard on the right, brace for the onslaught. They know the importance of holding their ground, of repelling the Confederate assault. The Confederate attack begins in the late afternoon. Long lines of gray-clad soldiers surge forward, their battle flags snapping in the wind. The fighting is fierce, hand-to-hand in places. The air is filled with the roar of cannon fire, the crackle of musketry, the screams of the wounded. At Little Round Top, a strategically important hill on the Union left, a desperate struggle ensues. Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and his 20th Maine Regiment, outnumbered and nearly out of ammunition, hold their ground against repeated Confederate assaults. Their valor helped save the Union line from collapse. On the Union right, at Culp's Hill and Cemetery Hill, the fighting is equally intense. Confederate troops, led by the hard-fighting Stonewall Jackson's former corps under General Richard S. Ewell, launch furious attacks but are repulsed with heavy losses. As darkness falls, the Confederate attacks sputter and die. Lee's plan has failed. The Union Army, battered but unbroken, still holds the high ground. Section 5, Day 3, Pickett's charge and the high tide of the Confederacy. Day 3, July 3, 1863. The fate of the nation hangs in the balance. Lee, despite the setbacks of the previous day, believes he can still win a decisive victory. He orders what will become the most famous and tragic attack of the war, Pickett's charge. Across an open field nearly a mile wide, 12,500 Confederate soldiers advance. They march into a storm of Union artillery fire, their ranks shredded by shot and shell. Still, they come on, a testament to their courage and their belief in their cause. The Union soldiers, positioned behind stone walls and fortifications, pour a deadly fire into the advancing Confederates. The ground trembles beneath the onslaught. Men fall by the score, cut down like wheat before a scythe. The few Confederates who reach the Union lines fight with desperate fury, but they are overwhelmed. The attack collapses, the Confederate army is spent. Pickett's charge, the high tide of the Confederacy, has failed. Lee, his face etched with sorrow, utters the words that will forever be etched in the annals of history: "It's all my fault." Section 6. Leaders under fire: Lee, Meade, and the weight of command. The Battle of Gettysburg was a clash not only of armies but of wills. At the helm of these mighty armies stood two men, each bearing the weight of their cause on their shoulders: Robert E. Lee and George Meade. Lee, the Confederacy's most revered general, was known for his tactical brilliance and his unwavering belief in the Southern cause. At Gettysburg, however, his judgment seemed clouded. His decision to launch Pickett's charge, a costly and ultimately futile attack, remains a subject of debate among historians. Meade, thrust into command just days before the battle, faced an immense challenge. Yet, he rose to the occasion, displaying coolness under pressure and a keen understanding of the battlefield. His decision to make a stand at Gettysburg and his skillful deployment of his troops proved crucial to the Union victory. Gettysburg tested the mettle of both commanders. Lee, accustomed to victory, tasted the bitterness of defeat. Meade, facing his greatest test, emerged as the victor, his place in history secure. Section 7. A turning point: the cost of victory and the war's uncertain future. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought over 3 hot summer days, left an indelible mark on the American landscape. The human cost of the battle was staggering. Over 50,000 men lay dead, wounded, or missing, their bodies scattered across the fields and hills around Gettysburg. The Union had won a great victory, but at a terrible price. The Confederacy, though defeated, was far from broken. The war would drag on for almost 2 more years, claiming hundreds of thousands more lives. Gettysburg, however, marked a turning point. The Confederacy's offensive capabilities in the East were shattered. The myth of Robert E. Lee's invincibility was broken. The Union, reinvigorated by victory, pressed its advantage, ultimately leading to the Confederacy's defeat in 1865. Section 8. Gettysburg's Echo a Nation Remembers. In the aftermath of the battle, the citizens of Gettysburg faced the daunting task of burying the dead and tending to the wounded. The landscape, once serene and bucolic, was forever scarred by the battle. Slowly the town began to heal. The battlefield, once a place of death and destruction, became a place of remembrance. Monuments and memorials were erected to honor the fallen and to preserve the memory of the battle for future generations. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln visited Gettysburg to dedicate a national cemetery to the Union soldiers who had fallen there. His Gettysburg Address, a mere 272 words, eloquently captured the meaning of the battle and the sacrifices made to preserve the nation. Lincoln's words still resonate today, a timeless reminder of the enduring power of hope and the importance of preserving the ideals of liberty and equality. Section 9. Conclusion: a battlefield's enduring legacy. The Battle of Gettysburg, the bloodiest battle ever fought on American soil, stands as a pivotal moment in American history. It was a battle that tested the limits of human endurance, a battle that decided the fate of a nation. Today, the Gettysburg National Military Park stands as a testament to the sacrifices made by those who fought and died there. Each year, millions of visitors come to walk the hallowed ground, to reflect on the battle's legacy and to remember the words of Abraham Lincoln, who urged us to dedicate ourselves to the unfinished work of those who fought at Gettysburg, that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.